Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Brian Van Hook, and I am the Regional Director of the Florida Small Business Development Center at FIU. Thank you for joining our webinar on finding and winning federal contracts. I'm going to give it a couple of seconds for everybody to stream in. So get comfortable, get your coffee, get your lunch, get kind of whatever you need to get settled, and we'll give you some really good information. And then I'll give it another minute. Thanks for everybody joining. We're just going to let everybody stream in before we get started. But just thank you for joining us for this webinar. Okay. For you, those of you that were in here earlier, sorry if I'm repeating myself again, but my name is Brian Van Hook, and I have the awesome job to be the Regional Director of the Small Business Development Center under FIU's College of Business. I want to welcome you to this presentation. This presentation is focused on finding and winning federal contracts. So I'm not just going to show you the finding part on how you look, but then you don't know what to do if you get them. And then I'm not just going to show you like, what do you do if you get it? I'm going to show you how to find other contracts as well. This program, this particular training is under the Miami-Dade Business Navigator program. And I'll give you some more information on the Navigator program in a minute. But I would encourage you in the chat to include some information on yourself, put your name, your business, definitely use the Q&A function as well. If there's any questions I can answer, we will get to questions towards the end of the presentation. And then I know the question we get a lot is this going to be recorded? Good answer is yes, this will be recorded. We will provide a copy of the presentation on our YouTube page, so you can watch it later if you missed something, if you think it's really awesome and you want to share it with your friends. And then also, we will send you a copy of the presentation as a PDF after the webinar so that you can kind of review it on your own time. So let's get into it. I want to be sensitive to you guys' time and get you some good information. As I mentioned, I'm the Regional Director at the Small Business Development Center at FIU. Originally from Louisiana, I have about 18 years of experience working with the federal government, both as an employee, working in the Congress, and then also as a federal resource partner. So when you're asking, what does this guy know about the federal government or doing business with the government? I've actually worked up there. I kind of know about how businesses interact with government and how government does work with the private sector. So I can definitely give you some information from the inside. As you can see from the photograph, that was actually me when I worked on the Senate Small Business Committee. I think that was a particular hearing that was focused on the Federal Communications Commission and broadband. So that, I guess that was my C-SPAN moment, if that's cool for some of you guys. And as I mentioned, I worked in the United States Senate and at the Department of Commerce. And I worked on kind of issues related to technology, telecom, small business, economic development, cybersecurity. So a lot of areas that are important for the government. And then you're going to hear me talk about the Navigator program. So I'm sure you're like, what is a community navigator? A community navigator, we're a trusted community-based organization. We're focused on helping local businesses like you to locate and access resources, information, services. We're not going to put up like the old school picture of like the compass or anything like that, because nowadays we all have like smartphones, to help us in GPS. So we are your GPS. We're to help you get from point A to point B to get the information you need to start and grow your business and to help you definitely through the pandemic. As we said, navigators, we're your trusted advisors, we're your advocates, we're your ambassadors, we're your connectors to resources. The Community Navigator program was established by the American Rescue Plan last year. It uses a community navigator approach to help small businesses with that economic recovery. You have a lead organization that's a hub, which is in this case SBDC at FIU, and then we work with a network of trusted spoke organizations that are in the community and can, in this particular case, work on recovery, resilience, business growth. Overall, we're really proud. There was $100 million provided to 51 grantees. We are the only Florida local network. And I think out of the 51 grantees, I think there was total of 700 applications. So it was extremely competitive, and we're really proud that we were able to bring this program to Miami-Dade County. The Navigator program is focused on economic recovery, small business resilience. It's specifically focusing on businesses owned by veterans, women, socially and economically disadvantaged individuals. Core activities include technical assistance, training, like we're doing today, sharing information and resources. And then in terms of your local Miami-Dade Business Navigator program, we're really proud to have 6 really good organizations that we're working in partnership with. Ascendus branches, the EDC of South Miami-Dade, the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce, Prospera, Startup FIU Procurement, and then obviously us at the SBDC. So we have basically 7 total organizations in addition to SBDC. In terms of our Miami-Dade Business Navigator program, we are working this year and next year in terms of helping specifically Miami-Dade County businesses. If you're not in Miami-Dade County, though, don't worry, we won't turn you down for service, but we are specifically targeting Miami-Dade County businesses. And our focus is to create a local community navigator network that's going to assist socially and economically disadvantaged businesses with consulting, mentoring, and training. And then I would just encourage you guys as a call to action, visit our website. We've got where you can register for consulting up there. You can register for additional trainings like this. We also list a lot of really great partner organizations that you can access and get help for your business or more information. And we're also on social media. And then last thing I would note is I know a lot of folks are kind of back in in-person trainings. And one of the big points for Community Navigator is for us to meet you guys where you're at. So I know a lot of people are here in Zoom or online or in webinars, but we know that folks are kind of running their day-to-day business. So we do have monthly Navigator resource fairs that we rotate all around the county. Usually it's at a county library or a community center, but we have got additional requests to host additional resource fairs. So I would encourage you to check our schedule and look into that, because we have those every month, and we want to be in touch with you guys, meet with you, just bring additional groups and resources to you in the community. And so look for us out in the community, and we'd be happy to get you more information on that. So now with all that out of the way, let's get into what you want to talk about today in terms of federal government contracts. Just like doing anything right, you need to evaluate, you need to get the right information. So I'm going to show you how to evaluate, target, how to find what federal agencies you want to work with. So before you get into federal government contracting, you do have to ask yourself some basic questions. One of the key questions is government contracting the right path for your particular business? That's because doing business with the federal government, it can be expensive. There's also strong competition depending on what product or service you're offering. So before I get into some of the real key details, I do want to just throw out some questions you should ask yourself before you jump in with both feet in terms of federal contracting. So some of the things you need to consider is what size of government contract can you handle? How many proposals can you work on and submit? How much growth are you willing to go through, and how much can you handle? Because in terms of getting a government contract, sometimes that does require you to add additional staff, to grow your resources, bring on additional equipment, things like that. So those, for a lot of business owners, those are considerations you need to factor. As I said, how many employees are you willing to add? And logistically, how can you add? And also, how many more products or services can you create and deliver based on how your business model works? So those are some basic things you want to consider. In terms of the actual contract, big smiley face, what if you win the contract? Kind of like frowny face if you're going to lose the contract or not be successful with the bid. What are you going to do? Is this contingent for your business? Is it kind of like do or die? Those are things that you need to consider. In terms of your particular business, what is the right opportunity for you? Which one can you afford to win or afford to lose without completely like disrupting your business? You always need to be like, kind of like they say in, I think it's the song, The Gambler, you got to know when to fold them. So can you walk away even up until the proposal due date? Can you basically kind of not have as much resources invested in the proposal that you can basically say, look, this isn't the right proposal for me right now, and then kind of like put on the shelf until your business is ready. And then also, I think some of the things that SBDC and some of our partner organizations and other groups in the community is really factoring with your business in terms of your particular business strategy. How does winning this particular contract, how does it build towards what your goals and your vision is for your business? So how does this federal government contract factor in to where you want your business to be in 5 years and 10 years, all those type of things. In terms of evaluation, some of the things that are kind of key in terms of targeting, in terms of finding the right federal government opportunity, is finding your niche or your target market. So just like for your business, when you're going to look at, what's the value added, what's the differentiation between competitors, for government contracts, you're going to look at a couple of things like your past performance. Past performance is very key. We're going to get into it into a minute, but that's basically like kind of like, what have you done? What have you done that's going to make you successful for this particular contract? Past experience, geographical focus area. So where you located or where you looking at. So for example, some businesses that are successful in government contracts here in Miami, they also have like particular opportunities to look at in Texas or Houston and things like that. So they might have multiple areas of the country they're looking at. Socioeconomic status, which comes into play related to certifications for your business. Small business size standards, because for particular certifications and for particular contracts, there are size standards. You can't be too big to get the contracts or maintain the certification. And then also, just like in life, like who do you know? What connections you have? Is there anybody that can make introductions? Anybody that can give you some intelligence on what's going on with this particular agency or contract? And then in terms of government contracting in general, we always say, don't think about what the contracts will get you. Think about what they're going to cost you. So think about your business in terms of like, business sense. So now that we talked about evaluating, I did want to talk about how you can make a really strong plan in terms of looking at business, particular contract opportunities for your business. So I always like to give this caveat. The reality is that most firms that get into government contracting, you're not going to get a $20 million NASA contract or a big DoD contract out of the gate. You need to think smaller. Most of the businesses do follow that kind of path that's pretty regularly used, is start small, start local, build up that important past performance, that experience on local jobs, take advantage of teaming or subcontracting where you're working with either larger businesses or businesses kind of in complementary areas. Grow that capacity related to your operations, your HR, your financials, and then kind of work your way up the ladder where you can get larger and larger contracts. I am giving you that caveat because I like to manage expectations for folks and not kind of sell you that this is going to like be the big thing for your business. You're going to get $20 million in contracts. But I would give you a ray of hope that under the Community Navigator program, actually one of the first clients that worked with SBDC was a gentleman that had actually worked in the aerospace industry for a long time. He registered his business in November of last year. He registered with Navigator in January. He worked with our consultant, Mirtha Roy. Mirtha was able to help him get all the relevant certifications, do a lot of the things we're talking about in this presentation related to targeting, making a plan, things like that. And I'm really proud to note that he's been able to secure 2 DoD contracts. They're not, huge contracts, but every journey you have to take your first step. And so he was able to get basically 2 smaller DoD contracts for his business. And imagine, he just started the business in November. So, I'm kind of giving you the caveat about managing expectations, but I also want to give you the glimmer of hope that it can be done. You can do it. In terms of past performance, as I've mentioned a couple of times, it's basically the information regarding your actions under previous contracts and previous orders. It's an indicator of future performance. So it's kind of like past is prologue. Basically, it's what these procurement officials are going to use when they're looking at the most relevant factors when considering who to give these awards to. So it kind of like shows what you've done. like who you are. It's kind of like when, you know, you're applying for a bank loan, they'll look at your credit history, or they'll look at, you know, accounts and things like that. They'll look at different aspects, or the financials of your business. This is basically a way for procurement officials to kind of know who you are and what you've done. And that should be an indicator of what you can do for them. In terms of subcontracting, that is a way to gain past performance by working with a larger business. Those are called prime contractors. So that's a business that actually got the big award, and then they have to subcontract out some of the work to local businesses, small businesses, minority businesses, so they can actually bring in some subcontractors. And as I mentioned, the subcontractors work with the prime to fulfill work under the contract, but they're not working directly with the federal government agency. But this is key because this is a way for you to get some experience, some of that past performance. And it is working in the favor of small businesses, because the big companies that get it, they are required to contract work out to small businesses, especially like I mentioned with specific certifications. I did include the link on there if you want to get more information on some subcontracting from the SBA website. In terms of teaming, this is where there's a group of small businesses that are going to work together on a project. So the upside to that is that it lets you pool resources, your management abilities, your technical knowledge. You know, you could kind of have it where if you're weak in an area, you bring on somebody that can help you to kind of boost your experience in another area. And as we mentioned, it's basically pooling resources to make your group more competitive when you're getting a bid. But it's just like anything that you're working, you need to make sure these are folks that have the capacity to do what they say they're going to do, because if they don't, it's going to reflect badly on the entire team in terms of getting the contract. And also you need to be mindful that these need to be folks that you can work with on the project, that you can get along with, that you can, you know, do, as I said, do what you need to do. And then I did include a link to a YouTube page, a YouTube video from the Northern California Procurement Technical Assistance Center, because they have a really good background on teaming and teaming agreements. So that could be something you could check on separately. In terms of finding federal contracts, so, you know, it used to be you had to go to trade shows in person, you had to buy a plane ticket to Washington, D.C., you had to go meet with the agency. You can still do a lot of that, but as the picture shows you guys, you can do a lot of research online and with some of the particular agencies. So the first thing to do is to become a prime contractor, you need to register your business with the System for Award Management, SAM. So it's kind of like Uncle Sam. And the SAM website is located up there. And then I know that you get a lot of questions on SAM. Every day we get a lot of businesses that have trouble getting on SAM. They have trouble with their SAM registration. They have trouble with the address that's listed, that verifying the address. They have issues with the cage codes and things like that. I did include a link up there that kind of talks to you about some key steps when registering on SAM. It was from the Association of Procurement Technical Assistance Centers. So I did include that up there. But I was going to note basically that the SBDC and the Navigator team, and also we have a local PTAC, those folks can help you if you run into any issues with SAM or registrations. So, and then when you get on the SAM website, you can actually search for multiple agencies by clicking on the contracting opportunities link. I did include the direct link in the presentation, so you guys can get this and follow up on your end. And then you also can search for opportunities with GSA, the General Services Administration. I did note that there. And General Services Administration is kind of like the landlord for the federal government agencies. They control a lot of the big buildings, you know, a lot of the locations. So they're a huge spender for the federal government. And so GSA is one agency that's a good opportunity. And then I did also put the link up there for subcontracting opportunities because they have a number of databases for that. The SBA website does list a couple of those websites. So I did include a link up there as well. So this is basically already getting you a couple of steps ahead in terms of searching on SAM and searching GSA and searching for subcontracting opportunities. So we want to give you guys some real actionable information that you can look up. Okay, so now that we talked about evaluating your business, now we talked about planning, now that we talked about doing some basic research, I want to get into like helping you how to do work smarter, not harder. One of the key things for federal government contracts, it's also relevant if you're going for state contracts, if you're going for local contracts, is targeting. Just like, if you're targeting a particular group of customers, a particular thing, you want to target an agency that you have the best chance to secure a bid and a contract with. So as I noted, I covered like common terms, things I'm going to throw out there that you're like, what does this mean? I want to get into how you can kind of narrow down your search for the agency that's going to be a good fit for you. One of the things you're going to want to do is review by your industry. Whether that is, you're make a particular widget, whether, like we said, you're in aerospace, you're in IT, you're in cybersecurity, you're going to want to narrow down your industry. The one thing I would tell you, though, is the thing that the government goes by is the NACE code, which is, I'm not even going to try to like tell you what the acronym is, but it's basically an industry code for businesses. And it's basically something that you'll need to list when you're on SAM, when you're looking for opportunities, things like that. I would note for you, though, that depending on what your product or service is, you may have multiple industry codes. So you want to basically do kind of like a list on your own end in terms of what you offer. Like, let's say, for example, if you do cleaning supplies, janitorial supplies, there might be other things that you sell from your business that are also going to come up in these searches. So you want to outline those things. Obviously, like janitorial supplies, cleaning supplies, things like that. So you want to expand out your potential market. And then what you want to start doing is you want to start refining your search by unique advantages or your niche for your business. So first off, you should definitely get a small business set aside. I'm assuming everybody watching this is an actual small business. In terms of certifications, there's a number of certifications based on socioeconomic status, based on your geography. So there's things that you can get for that, whether you're a woman-owned business, whether you're a minority or disadvantaged business, whether you're located in a hub zone, those type of things, whether you're a veteran, service disabled veteran. So all those things are things that you can add to your business that can help you. And I would say some of those certifications, they're ones that you can self-certify. So you can basically just go online, submit some information, you can get it. There are some that are a little more stringent in terms of it. One of those in particular would be the 8A certification with the SBA. That does require a lot of information that you have to prove and you have to submit. We do know a lot of businesses kind of get an initial decline, and then you have to appeal the decline and provide more information. So I would just say you also want to game it out in terms of some of those certifications that you need to get. But I would say really focus on the certifications you need to get with some of the agencies that you're looking at. Because there might be some certifications that you don't have to put in as much time and effort, but you can get that certification and get right into getting a contract. We also talked about previously, your geographic area, whether you're in Miami-Dade County, whether you have some operations in another state, kind of targeting the agency and their operations based on where you want to do the work. Obviously, we talked about past performance, past experience. So those are things that'll be factored in. And the one thing you can do is you can just research opportunities, but those are ones that are already on the street. So those are open to everybody. Everybody knows about what's going on with those, and everybody has like a level playing field. But the whole point of business is to give yourself a competitive advantage. So one of the things I always stress in terms of businesses looking at federal government contracts is looking forward, which is like a forecast from a government agency. These are things that they are projecting that they are going to spend on. It can be a couple of months out, it could be a year out, it could be 2 years out. But the cool thing about that is that that actually gives you some time to get ready. And for a lot of these federal agencies, these are things that are posted publicly on their website. You can know months or years out. And it actually, a lot of times they list the person that you can call. So you can actually reach out to that person and talk to them about the particular opportunity or what it is. And a lot of times those are good opportunities for you to reach out because they can actually talk to you. You can actually make contact with them. There's no cone of silence. There's no restriction or anything like that. The other way you can do is look back. You can look at previous awards to get smart on what agencies have spent, what they're projected to spend, as we talked about in the forecast. The key questions you want to ask when you're looking at those is you want to understand what's their cycle, what's their procurement cycle, what do they do? So you want to ask those kind of questions like, what do they buy? Do they buy a lot of janitorial supplies? If you're a janitorial company, do they buy a lot of IT? Do they buy, is it aerospace? Is there a lot of contracts with that? How do they buy it? Do they buy it in terms of like a big, huge thing that goes to a prime and then they have to subcontract out? Is there some that they might use like a procurement card? Is it kind of smaller amounts? And kind of what amounts do they do it? Is it a huge contract? Is it broken into little parts? Sometimes they do have a set aside. They'll have a set aside for small businesses. They'll have a set aside for women-owned small businesses. They'll have a set aside for 8A businesses. And then one of the other things you want to look at, which I'm going to show you on the next slide, is how is that business doing with hitting their small business goals? Because if they're not hitting their goal with a particular type of business, then they're going to be more inclined to work with your business because they need to like up their performance with those businesses. And so those are things that you can actually factor into your research to be more successful. And then as we talked about, you can basically look for key agencies, key procurement contacts, and any kind of request for a proposal, RFP, webinars, workshops, or vendor outreach. So that's a way that you can kind of get connected. And we will talk about business development at kind of towards the end of the presentation. So I will give you some tips and some insights in terms of how to be professional, how to connect with these folks, and the most important part is how to follow up. So I talked about targeting. This is actually from the SBA website. I know that they just maybe like a day or two ago, they released the most up-to-date scorecard. But on the left-hand side of the screen, you're going to see that they are showing you the particular agency. It's going to show you the prime contract goals with small businesses. It's going to show you with the small and disadvantaged businesses, which is 8A. It's going to show you the service disabled veteran, which is there. It's going to show you with women-owned small businesses, with HubZone, subcontracting. So you can see all those particular categories, and the scorecard that SBA comes out with, they do list how those agencies did on those particular goals. So you can actually see maybe, Treasury, maybe they met their goal. Maybe another agency was like significantly short. So you can see based on those particular categories, what businesses they are not doing very well with. And if you fall into one of those categories, then it might be a good opportunity for you to get in. And so, sorry, I was just checking the chat for a minute, guys, to see. Jesus, monitor the chat, and if there's any kind of key questions, let me know, okay? And I also did that to keep Jesus on his toes. So I got into targeting. So actually, I want to give you guys a kind of a real world example about how you can go on to one of these government agencies and actually kind of use their website and find the information you need. So in terms of this, I'm going to use the Department of Commerce, and I'm going to use that because I actually worked at the Department of Commerce, so I kind of know how some of the stuff works there. So I'm going to kind of pull up a screen and I'm going to show you. Okay. So can you guys see? Jesus, can you see it? Or Laura?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thanks. So this is actually the Department of Commerce website. So I'm going to go back to the main page just so I kind of like making it a fair assessment. So in terms of the Department of Commerce website, this is the main page. Most of the things you can actually search for small business, and that will come up. And you'll see most of them are going to link to this office that's called the Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization. The acronym is OSDBU. That is kind of like your foot in the door for these agencies because it's usually the small business office. And their job is to be kind of like a gateway for small businesses to work with those agencies so they can be really helpful. But also on those OSDBU websites, they usually have a lot of information. So I just searched for small business. The OSDBU was the top of the thing. And then you see the OSDBU office. They do list their website. They do list their phone number, their email address. They have like particular things. Let's click on their website. So under the OSDBU website, they have the particular director of the office listed. They have a business industry specialist. They have a main number. And on their website, they do list some things like market research, their policies, those type of things. They even have some information on subcontracting. So I can kind of list back to the SBA website. But I was going to just give you that point. If you're trying to kind of find a main point of contact, the OSDBU is a good place to start. And the one thing I was going to go back was actually a lot of the websites now, they want to be more responsive to small businesses. So they actually did even include a section that's like work with us. So if you look under this one, it says like grant and contract opportunity. So you can see, I know you guys came from federal contracts, but they do list grants. So it actually shows you where you can look for Department of Commerce grants. They do list information on the Minority Business Development Agency, MBDA. We do have a MBDA center here in Miami locally. But you're going to scroll down because you want to look for government contracts. So before I click on this, I want to show you. They list OSDBUs. They list the SBA contracting section. They list GSA and SAM. But I talked to you about forecasts. So actually right here, they list the forecast for the Department of Commerce. So I'm going to click on that. And this is their current procurement forecast. This is updated weekly and includes quarterly updates for previously posted forecasts when available. So let's go in. And I think it's an Excel. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing that. I'm going to share that Excel file that came up. Okay. And Jesus, you guys can see that?
Yes.
Okay, thanks, Laura. So you're going to see this Excel sheet. It's basically noted by commerce business opportunities. You're going to see it's listed by the opportunity number. So that's something that you can search. It lists the organization under Department of Commerce. It lists the title of the project. And it lists kind of like information you need, like the description, the place of performance, like we talked about, the county. But it gets into some things that you want to know for targeting. It gets into things like small business set aside. I think that I saw that they had a lot of them say to be determined. But you can see, and then they're going to know what they estimate the value range is going to be. And then they're going to have when they're estimated to put the solicitation out. So you see some of these they haven't updated. It's an older one. But if you scroll down, it basically shows you going into 2022, 2023, 2024. And then kind of like the secret I'm going to show you guys is if you go over, it's going to show you, I think it shows who the incumbent is. So actually you see who the incumbent is. So who's the business that has that contract right now? And then they say, are they gonna do a sole source to somebody? Are they gonna compete it? Are they gonna recompete it? I saw. And when you scroll over, they give you some really good information. Who is the point of contact at that agency? So you'll see here, Christopher Wallace, Brantley, Kathy Belfield with their email address. So those are folks that you can reach out to, especially if it's a contract that's coming out maybe a year or two from now, and you can get some more information. So you can actually get the information you need to do a search on here. And some of the other information, you can look up historical stuff and all that. So that's actually the Department of Commerce forecast that's posted. And those are things that they're projecting that they're going to buy. And you can get some really good information and follow up with the contracting officer. And then I want to go back to share the website. Because actually, okay. And then that was the procurement forecast. But if you go back, you can actually search, and it should take you to SAM to search for contract opportunities with commerce. So you see they link directly to commerce information in SAM. And I was going to see if there's anything else. So they do include that information. I would mention this is the same, that's the same information for other agencies as well. If you go to USAID, if you go to Treasury Department, if you go to Homeland Security, they're all going to have the same type of information, and all that stuff is posted on the internet. So you can actually search on SAM for a lot of that, but then each particular agency, once you start targeting, they will have information that's specific to that agency. Like I said, the OSDBU, definitely check them out. And also in terms of like procurement forecast, a lot of the agencies also might list some of the past awards. So those are things that you can look up too. And then Jesus, you can see the screen, you can see the presentation?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so now that we talked about targeting, now that I showed you guys a real world example, let's get into business development. So now that you've found all these contracts, now that you want to get out and hustle and kind of meet with some officials, the most important mantra in business is still applicable when you get into government contracts is prepare, 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 prepare. I'm not going to sit here for 5 minutes and say prepare. You guys get the note, but preparation is important. You want to look professional. You want to look like you did your homework. You want to look like you're going to get a contract with them and you're going to nail the contract, and they're going to want to do multiple awards with you. So this is important when you get into business development. You can call it whatever you want, whether it's networking, outreach, making connections. You got to hustle. You got to get out there and promote your business and get in touch with the right folks so that you can get your business some contracts. So in terms of preparation, some of the best practices that you can do are identifying, like we talked about, previously awarded contracts that are similar in scope and services to what you and your business do. So to know that kind of you're talking to the right people about the right opportunities. You want to take any kind of proposal or cost estimating classes or use a software program that does that. There's a lot of them that are available. There's a lot of them that are available under the Procurement and Technical Assistance Center program, local estimating and, proposal writing classes. There's a lot of other ones that are available on the internet too. And one of the things you want to do is don't just learn how to do proposals or how to do cost estimating and get the software. You also want to have kind of like a contract matrix or an RFP matrix. Usually it's in Excel, but it can be in whatever type of format you're most comfortable using to track and to forecast contracts that are similar to what you want to go after. So you can basically go to like some of those websites like I showed you, and you can start populating with a lot of the stuff you're looking for. So you can include like the key deadlines, information that's needed, kind of put in a lot of stuff so you can get more organized. Also, what you want to do is you want to really dive into some of those proposals, and you want to look at what the scoring committee is going to look at. So you want to develop kind of like on your end what the criteria are and what the scoring is, and then kind of like how your proposal is going to score on that. And then as you start getting into government contracting and you start putting in some proposals, one of the things you can do that not a lot of businesses take advantage of is if you're not successful with a particular federal government contract proposal, you can ask for a debrief. So you can ask them for information. A lot of times they won't give you like 3 hours of their time, but you can actually get some time with one of the contracting officers to get a debrief on kind of like what was some issues with your proposal, maybe things you can improve, just find out more information. And then there's 3 things that you want to have ready for your particular business. When you go to a vendor outreach event, an RFP workshop, or when you meet with a procurement official, maybe somebody you identified from one of those databases I showed you. You want to have your capability statement, your cap statement. You want to have your elevator pitch, and you want to have some business cards. In terms of your capability statement or your cap statement, that's basically your resume for your business. It's concise, it's a 1-page document, and it lists all your business competencies. The purpose is to provide in one place in kind of a short, condensed format information on your business so that you can kind of sell yourself to potential customers. And it's just like with a resume, If you write it well, it's going to set you apart from the competition. So you really want to put some time into it. And there's a lot of really good templates out there. A capability statement should kind of have the same key points in everyone, regardless of what you're doing. It's going to talk about your core competencies. It's going to talk about any facilities and equipment that you have, your expertise, like kind of what you worked in, the janitorial industry for 20 years. You worked in the IT industry for this long. You work with these companies. Company information. So you want to kind of speak the language. What's your DUNS number? What's your NACE code? What's your CAGE code? Any of those certifications that you have. And most of the time, those are listed kind of like in bullet format. So it's kind of quick. The thing that makes people stand out on their cap statement is also including like past performance with your previous customers. And it's one of those things that success breeds success. So once you start getting some federal government contracts, whether that's like teaming, subcontracting, prime awards, you can list those on your cap statement to kind of show who you work with. Like I work with Homeland Security, I work with Miami-Dade County, I work with the state of Florida. And for the cap statement, it needs to be one page. You could use both sides, front and back, if you have that information, or you can make it kind of like a little brochure, like a trifold. And then I don't want to just tell you guys about cap statements. I want to actually give you some templates and some information. So I am including some information on there about cap statements. The Georgia PTAC has a really good rundown on what's a cap statement and why should you have it. Homeland Health and Human Services at the federal level has a really good information on their website on how to write a cap statement. And then they did have, I think it was under it's Target Gov, but I think it was the state of Ohio. They actually did have like a really good PDF document on how to write a cap statement. So those are a couple of sources you can look at. So I talked about 3. Number 2 is your elevator pitch. Just like I'm talking to you about what SBDC does, how my team can help you, you need to have something that's really short, really concise, like to the point, that can get you really like sum up what your business is, and don't be like long-winded. So the example you would give, or the scenario would be, if you're in an elevator with a contracting officer, an elected official, prime contractor, can you off the top of your head quickly and professionally describe what solutions, and emphasize solutions, like they have needs, they have problems, they have things they need to get done. How are you the one that has the solutions to help that particular federal agency, address that issue? And I would always kind of say, you don't have to be a charmer, you don't have to be the best public speaker, but you need to be prepared to talk about what you're going to do in that elevator pitch. And then in terms of just like we talked about the cap statement, an elevator pitch has got to cover a couple of main points, like who and what you are, what do you specialize in, what do you do, why are you the best at what you do, and then a call to action, like I want a proposal, I want a meeting with you, I want to discuss this, I want to find a prime contractor to work with. What you can do is basically write down a paragraph of these particular points, and then cut it down so it's concise, because you want to be, like, as I said, really quick, like 30 seconds. Like, hey, I'm Brian, this is what I do. I'm here and I have a great solution. I can help you with that. I really want to talk to you about meeting your, veteran, service disabled veteran goal, and also help you to address this need. So you really want to sum up what your business is, who you are, what you can do. And as I said, focus on solutions. Like, you have solutions to address their problem or their need. You want to make sure it's conversational. Don't make it awkward. If you make it sound like you're a robot, or you're too technical, or if the delivery is a little like weird, that's obviously going to count against you with that particular individual. So you want to make it where it's like kind of short bullets, easy for you to remember, and something that kind of rolls off the tongue. And what you want to do is practice in front of a mirror, like memorize it. So if something comes up, you're ready to go. Like if you meet with somebody at a trade show and you're like, oh man, I could do business with this guy. Then you're like, all right, hey, this is who I am. This is what I can do. Here's my cap statement. So you want to do that. And then kind of like a key point related to this is government expos or trade shows. The federal government, state government, local governments, they don't always sit behind a desk, especially now, like we're in virtual, hybrid, all that. They do outreach, they do vendor outreach and things like that. So they'll basically be out in the community, they'll be online. There's things you can do. So the thing that we always stress is that you should only attend one of these events if you're going to do the proper preparation before. And if you're going to follow up, because what good is it if you buy a plane ticket, you buy a nice suit, you get your hair cut, you shave, you got your business cards, all that. But what good is that if you make some good connections if you don't follow up in the right way? It's a waste of time. It's a waste of money. So you want to choose the right events. You want to make sure that you're going to the right event, that the people that you want to talk to are going to be there, because you could be doing something else to help grow your business instead of driving or flying to that particular event. And as I said, preparation, preparation, preparation. Don't attend an event if you're not ready to do the research before on who do you need to talk to, who's somebody you want to talk to at that agency, who's the Ostaboo, what agency is your key agency. And also, I really emphasize follow-up, because a lot of times when I worked for the federal government, I would meet with people at these events. I would give them my business card. And unless it was a priority for me, or unless it was something that helped my bottom line or my deadline or whatever, I would put it on the business owner. I'd say, here's my card, please follow up. And I would say probably 7 times out of 10, I would not get an email from them. I would not get a phone call from them. So that's a mislead. Somebody could have followed up and grown their business, and they didn't even take the time to send me a follow-up email. So it's one of those things, when you meet with them and then they don't follow up, it kind of reflects badly. And then I did include up there again, the Georgia PTAC has some good tips about going to those expos or those trade shows and things that you should factor in. But I really, really, really want to emphasize follow-up. Make sure it's professional. Make sure you're following up. Send a detailed email. We talked about X, you want Y, I can do Z. Really follow up and be detailed, because that does set you apart, because a lot of people don't follow up in the proper way. In terms of communication, there are, like I mentioned, there's some particular periods that you're not going to be able to communicate with that contracting officer. It's called the cone of silence. So you're just going to want to be aware that sometimes it's appropriate, sometimes it's inappropriate. So that's going to be usually the pre-solicitation time and then post-award periods. So you just want to be mindful of that, and make sure that they can't do anything. Sometimes when a proposal is posted, you can ask questions, and those questions can be in the FAQs and things like that. So there are some opportunities for you to get some information. And then when you're looking at particular solicitations, you want to look at the kind of what's the protocol, what is the guidance that they have. They will list out all that stuff, so you can kind of game it out. And then, like I talked about, when I'm at a lot of these meetings, a lot of the folks wouldn't follow up. And so you just need to remember, you never get that second chance to make a first impression. So you're going to be professional. Use an email address that's affiliated with your business website. Generally, it does not look professional if you have a Yahoo email, a Gmail account, AOL, any of those type of things. So if you can, you do want to have an email that's attached to your website. Double and triple check any typos in your emails or on your website. If you're sending an email, you can use a lot of those programs that can, help you spell check. Maybe run the email by somebody that can, give it a second look. The key thing is also, don't try to be jack of all trades, master of none. Don't try to be I can do everything, I'm perfect, I'm great. Really focus on your sweet spot, focus on what you're good at, what you have past performance on, and really emphasize that experience and that past performance. And then, like I said, lead with your expertise and your experience, and then emphasize your ability to mitigate risk, to overcome obstacles. Those are key things in terms of, meeting with these particular officials so that you can look professional. And then I don't want to leave you empty-handed, so I'm going to answer some questions, but I did want to note, I am including some additional webinars, some additional information. We did include a couple of YouTube videos. One's on government contracting, one is on government bidding, how to write a proposal. For businesses that are in Spanish, we had a really good meeting that was focused on government contracting that had a couple of successful government contractors. So if you prefer to have some content in Spanish, we do have that available online as well. I did include a couple of PTAC links, so the Florida PTAC, the Georgia PTAC. I did include the contracting information from the SBA, where you can get more information on some of those certifications, some of those resources. That information is also available in Spanish on the SBA website as well. And then with that, I will turn to questions. So I'm going to see what you guys had for me.
Okay, Brian. Okay, Brian, I have one.
Okay.
Is it okay to start a small business and build that portfolio that earns you the trust?
Yes, I think you have to, like I said, you have to start somewhere. And so basically you can start a small business. You can start kind of making the steps. As I said, one of the key ways, and I know for a lot of times when we hold these webinars, we do have a lot of local government officials and local government folks. I would encourage you, like I said, it's not always easy for you to connect with somebody at NASA, but it is easy for you to connect with somebody in Miami Gardens and City of Miami, Miami-Dade County. So a lot of businesses that are really successful in federal government contracts, they do start local because they can basically build up that local expertise. And for a lot of times, those are like areas that you know really well, like your neighborhood, your community. So I'd encourage you, if you're looking to get into government contracting, start small, start local, and build up that past performance. That was a good question.
Okay. Is there a way that massage therapists and spa owners can benefit from government contracts?
I would say it depends. I think you could probably look online. I'll be honest with you, off the top of my head, I don't recall any solicitations or bids for massage therapy. But I don't want to rule it out because there might be somewhere on sam.gov that particular thing. So I would say that's important for you to get on and figure out what your industry code is. And then you can search. And actually, there might be some other services that you offer under the spa that you can basically kind of like look for as well. So you might want to look for that. But I would say specific to massage therapy, I'm sure about that. But I don't want to rule it out. Search on sam.gov, you can see.
Okay. Do you have to register with SAM to subcontract?
You do have to get registered. I would say start with the link that we're going to provide in the presentation that does get you to some of those subcontracting and teaming resources, because they have like a step-by-step process that they can outline, what you need to do for that. So I would say, I know that for a fact, Sam, it has prime contract opportunities. I think that the SBA website with the link that I included does list some of the separate websites that list the subcontracts.
And then to sell musical instruments, what kind of certification do we need?
I don't know specifically for musical instruments. I would say your certification will be specific to your business. So it would be specific to, are you a small business? Are you a woman-owned business? Those type of things. So I don't think that's related to kind of like restaurants or cosmetics or anything like that. So I don't know if there's any specific licenses related to the federal government contracting that you might need. But I would say, again, like I mentioned to the other attendee, you're going to want to like look up what that industry code is, and then do a search for that particular opportunity on sam.gov, because they're going to list a lot of that stuff on there.
Any federal contracts on moving military freight or heavy machinery as a freight brokerage firm?
Yeah, there's a lot of freight forwarding, a lot of freight information. So I would say, again, you need to settle on what your industry code is. And then you can actually publicly search and you can look on there. But I think that there is some shipping and some moving and freight and logistics and things like that. So I think that there definitely are opportunities on there. So that would be something you can search out.
Okay. How about for assisted living facilities? What type of certifications?
I would say for most of the ones that I am particularly familiar with, most of those are related to the Veterans Administration, the VA. But that could be something you can look up, maybe more under like Health and Human Services. They might have some, I don't know if it's grant opportunities or contract opportunities with that. But again, that's something where you might not want to do a targeted search for that. You might want to just come up with what the industry code is and then actually put that into sam.gov and see kind of what populates.
Okay. If I don't have a lot of experience, but have been properly trained and certified, is it okay to go after the contracts, or should I wait?
I would say the experience is important. I would say that's a key component of it. One of the things you can do is you can start working on your capability statement and kind of put on paper the experience you have and kind of what you've done. And that might be an opportunity for you to kind of get started and think about what your roadmap is going to look like. The other thing you can do is, let's say you have a lot of experience, but you don't have the past performance as a local or federal government contractor. Key to that would be teaming. So let's say you're a very experienced professional in a particular industry, but you don't have the government contracting experience. You can team up with another business and you guys can go after some bids together, because that'll make their proposal stronger, the fact that you're part of the team. So that could be an opportunity for you to create like a win-win situation.
Will occupational medicine services as such, that physicals, drug testing, and OSHA mandate testing are services something that I can bid for a contract?
Yeah, I would say those are going to be things that are going to be available. I think not just at the federal government level, but those might be state and local as well. So again, those are ones that the first step is going to be, you need to identify what your industry code is, what your NACE code is, and then you want to start on some of those websites that are provided to you, start searching for particular opportunities, and then you could kind of like figure out the game plan on how to work with those agencies. And I was going to give a shout out to Mirtha Roy, who's one of our government contracting consultants. So I saw she's in the chat, kind of responding. So shout out to Mirtha on that.
And also our PTEC specialist, Luis Batista, as well.
Oh, cool. So I have the double team. I have
Yeah.
both experts. So shout out to Lewis too.
Um,
Any other questions, Jesus? I saw the chat was like on fire. So I guess
Yes,
that
yes.
means the
No,
presentation was good.
yeah, no. The presentation was great, along with the engagement in terms of everyone that's registering already. So it's a great opportunity for our consultants and also with our navigator spokes as well to assist and address some of your inquiries in government contracting,
Yeah.
such as the certifications, the registrations, and at the same time the opportunities. In addition, in the chat, there's also 2 additional webinars that we're hosting that is also under the government contracting sector. So by all means, I will send everyone an email with the links to go ahead and register, or who else do you know that could definitely benefit from these webinars. Like I said, we are here to assist with your small business needs, and it's no cost to you.
Yeah.
So the webinar is being recorded.
And then Jesus, I was
and
gonna
also
say
with,
before you do like the closeout stuff,
yeah.
I was gonna say shout out to Linda Julian from Miami Gardens. I saw that she was here. So it was good that I shouted out Miami Gardens. I didn't know Linda was in here, but that always shows, Linda, that we're always thinking about Miami Gardens and some of our great partners. And then also I did see that Congresswoman Salazar's staff was here as well. We actually did this presentation with them earlier in the year. It was a really great webinar and had a lot of good attendees and questions and things like that. I think they had a couple of questions that I had to have people email me after because it was kind of stumping me at the time. So I just want to say shout out to them. I saw they were in the chat.
Yeah, so the webinar is being recorded. I'll be emailing everyone the presentation as well, and also with my email, you could contact me if there's any particular questions, anything that we could do with assistance. By all means, we're more than happy to assist you on that front. So I'll return the mic to Brian so he could do the end of closing remarks.
Thanks. And I did put up our socials. I did put up our YouTube page. And I want to thank Jesus and Laura because they're the ones that I just stand up here and I talk to you guys and just click a couple slides. They're the ones that do the work to set up the presentations and reach out and follow up with you guys. You did mention if you have questions, I would say circle back with Jesus or circle back with our navigator's email that's up there, and that we can actually follow up with you. Guys, definitely take advantage of resources. A lot of the resources that we're talking about and that we're providing, these are no cost to you. They're free of charge. There are resources out there to help you start and grow your business. And so I would encourage you really check out the Navigator website, check out our social media, check out our YouTube. We're really here, mission driven to help you with your business, and we want to help you get those contracts. If you know, like the time, like when Mirtha mentioned to me that one of her clients got 2 DoD contracts, like we're almost as happy as our client that they got the contract. I would say not as happy because it's his business and he started it, but we really are invested in you as our clients. And I know that goes for the other navigator groups as well, whether it's Prospera, Ascendus, Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce. So definitely, we really are here to help you grow. And also, like, we're very collaborative. So if there are any groups in the community that maybe we can't help you under Navigator, we will refer you out to other organizations, whether it's a municipality, whether it's the county, whether it's another small business group. We really want to help you and provide, like we talked about for the federal government, we want to provide solutions to your business and help you grow. So definitely thanks. But if you guys have any questions, email Jesus. And then, just appreciate everybody attending and having such a great turnout. Have a good rest of the week.